Hey everyone, this is Alexander Carlos. I have not been live in months. It's probably been a year since I did an interview. Last one being with a political figure. So this is Alexander News Show, and right now, as I'm facing the screen to the right, and I think if you're viewing the screen or the TV to the left, I think is social media star, an entrepreneur, Shayne Mckinney. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing wonderful, and it's really humbling to be invited to be a part of your show. Thank you.
No, I am grateful, beyond grateful for you to be on the show. And for starters, first of all, let's talk about you. All of your social media information. Let me first of all, I'm ending the timetables here. Hold on. Let's talk about first. Let me get my stuff out of the way first. My social media information, everything that you want to find out about Alexander News Show, where to follow him, just look below the ticker and also below the screen of the YouTube channel. Okay, this is Alexander Carlos, Alexander News Show for October the 2nd, 2025. Okay, and Shayne, your social media information is right here where they can follow you. You're big time. You're a superstar on TikTok. You have over 350,000 followers. Am I right?
You're correct. We'll be at 400,000 by the end of this month.
Okay. And you're also on, and everything's below here, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Did I leave anything else out?
There's some others, but just look for Shayne is Great. Shayne. You'll find me wherever you like to.
Yeah. And the links are below the video of YouTube as well. Just click on the link, takes you right there. Shayne Mckinney, we're going to do the video first. So let me go ahead and let me do the intro. My intro first, and then we're going to do yours.
And if I want to speak to you,
Yeah.
I'm happy to make an appointment.
Sure. I want to ask you about ball and chain. What's wrong with your ball and chain? Why do you harass people?
These are all homeless people.
This is Alexander News Show with Alexander Carlos. We go after the news. El show de Alexander News Show con Alexander Carlos.
Tell me what's up with this whole climate change thing. What is your opinion on the...
Okay, now we're going to do your intro.
Hi, boys and girls. It's Shayne and Jennifer.
So again, we're going to talk about your wife. That's the first question I'm going to ask you about your wife. First of all, again, Alexander Carlos is my name. Alexander News Show. Thank you all to the viewers for tuning in. You can ask any questions, any comments. I'll be happy to share with Mr. Mckinney. Shayne is Great is where you can find his social media links, like where you can find them and just type it in. Boom, you'll find them. My information is below the screen, the ticker, Alexander News Show. Now we're going to go to Shayne. Let me go ahead and get your information because that's what matters right now. And hold on, give me 1 second. So let me ask you first. Tell me about your relationship with your wife. I see a lot of videos. I just love the energy. You know, I have my wife. I've been married since 2018. We're going to be 8 years in 2026. But tell me about your wife, man.
Well, we've been married 23 years. We've been together a long time, and we enjoy each other more and more every single day. She is precious, and I try to take as good care of her as I possibly can.
How did you guys, I have to ask you, how did you guys end up meeting? I have to ask you. How did you meet her?
So she was dating my roommate. Scandalous, I know. Yeah, I know. That sounds more scandalous than it is, but she got invited to go to a music festival with our friend group through my roommate, and then they broke up a couple months before this music festival, but she still came with us. So I'm a good driver. She got motion sick easily, so she ended up driving in my truck instead of the other van with the other group of our friends so that she could look forward and not get as ill from the movement of the vehicle. And we got to know each other on a 10-hour drive to Illinois. And a week later, we got engaged. So,
wow. What did your roommate say? Did your roommate get mad, or was he
no,
okay
I don't
with it,
think
or
so.
what?
I don't think so. We're still friends. We actually saw him a couple months ago. He lives in Virginia now, so he lives a ways away. We don't see him very often, but he's still a good friend, and he'll always be a dear friend of mine and hers.
Wow. So tell me about what college did you go? Did you go to college? What university did you go to?
I briefly attended college. So I had a scholarship. I started at the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. Didn't have to pay anything. And I quickly realized, I guess Winston Churchill once said, something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, I'm always ready to learn, but I hate to be taught. Um, I love to learn. I love to self-educate. But the idea of going into a place where the specific focus is education is just slow, and it just doesn't work with my personality type. I'm far too independent to sit in a chair and be told what to do and then be expected to do it.
I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. I'm serious. Like, I hate being told what to do. Let me tell you something real quick. I'm not only a journalist, but I'm also a special needs therapist. Okay. And the only people I take orders from are my customers, because I'm serving them.
That's good.
Yeah. And I do the media, and I work for myself. I am with Iheart Podcast Network. But they don't tell me what to do or anything like that. I'm with them because like a freelancer, like a contractor. So you and me are in the same boat. We don't like to be told what to do. We work for ourselves. That's it. Right? Am I right?
You're absolutely right. And also, in trying to prepare this, you've been extremely accommodating. But as I told you at the very beginning, I don't even want to know what the subject we're going to be talking about is in advance. I want this to just fly off and be truly spontaneous. I think that's the best way to be honest. So we have no prepared questions. The subjects could go any direction, and that's the way I prefer things. And I'm glad you were willing to accommodate that format.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, you know what? I want to do more of these interviews instead of doing the political figures, because you're the first, you're the second or the third non-political figure I interview. Political figures are boring. And nothing against them. It's just boring. Now, this is the real
hang on. Political figures are boring. Ask me a political question.
Okay. Well, what
ask
I meant
me one.
to say, let me
no. Ask me a political question. Let's just see how well we do here.
Are you a Democrat or Republican?
Well, I think that both Democrats and Republicans have a lot of things they could bring to the table, and we could learn a lot from both sides. And the issues facing our country are significant in the views of both those leaning left and those leaning right. But truly, by looking together and opening our minds to possibilities, we can discover a place where we can all come to an agreement about the things that our children need for the future of this great nation. How'd I do?
That was beautiful. That was awesome.
Okay. That's exactly what you get from a politician. Nothing. I said nothing at all that anybody could not have said and be true. So that's what I dislike about politics, is I literally said nothing that entire time.
Well, I'm going to ask you, now that we're talking about it, not that we're going to talk about politics, we might get back into it, but where do you lean to? Do you lean to the right, or do you lean to the left, or your center?
I would be neither left nor right. I would be libertarian. Almost as far as I'm almost as libertarian as the guy on the killdozer. Like I am as libertarian as it just about gets.
More like Rand Paul type. Rand Paul.
Yeah, Rand Paul would be one of my favorite politicians that's currently serving. Ron Paul. Don't agree with everything on them. There's nobody that we agree with 100% on things, but that would be my leaning, is towards freedom, personal responsibility, but also with an understanding of there needs to be an amount of government to be able to enforce contracts, be able to provide for the public safety and those elements. So there's a place for government, but it is much smaller, I believe, than where we are currently.
Well, okay. Well, look, I got a video that I'm going to play, but I want to first ask you this question. Let's talk about what got you into vampires. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, good question. About 12 years ago, we were getting ready for a Halloween party, and one of our guests that had been invited said, "Hey, I know you're having a Halloween party. I just caught this bat in my house. I think it'd be interesting if you had it in a cage, and you could take care of it for the Halloween party, and everybody could see the bat." And I said, "Well, that sounds like a great idea. What could go wrong?" I was a little younger back then. What could go wrong? So I brought this bat into the house, and I took care of him for 2 or 3 days while we got ready for the party. And he was sweet. We could pet him, we could interact with him. But then one day I went to clean the cage the day of the party before it started, and it was during the daytime when he was sleeping, and he got startled when I was messing with it, and he bit me on the finger, drew some blood. Didn't think much of it at the time, but shortly thereafter, people started to identify me as a vampire.
Wow.
Not myself, but other people started to impose that idea upon me.
I love
So
it.
at first I was like, "No, I'm not a vampire. Of course I'm not." And after years and years and years of being called a vampire, eventually you just don't care anymore. And it's like, okay, whatever, I can be a vampire. And so I often say society made me a vampire. There's no exact moment. But if you were to pin a moment, I always go back to the time I got bitten by a bat. It seems like the most logical thing in my background.
How does it feel to be bit by a bat?
It was just a tiny little prick. It barely drew any blood at all. It was very minor.
Wow. 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 And your wife is into it as well, huh?
I suppose so.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, so let's get into what are you being. I'm not going to ask you the Halloween question because I'm guessing you're going to dress up as a vampire for Halloween, right?
No, not at all. I was actually thinking about putting on some khaki pants and a polo shirt and a city inspector clipboard and pretending to be my local city building inspector because that's the most terrifying thing I could think of for Halloween.
Oh, so you know what? I'm not gonna hold back. We're gonna get back to the vampire stuff and Halloween stuff, but I'm going to have this. I'm going to show you this video, and I want you to tell me. This is how I found you, ladies and gentlemen, of the Alexander Show. Before I go any further, you can find Shayne Mckinney. Shayne is great on his social media. The information is below the ticker. Facebook, Instagram. He's huge, a rising star on TikTok. Over 350,000 followers. And YouTube channel. I don't think I left anything else. I think those are the main ones. But all the information is below the ticker. And also you can get the links below the screen on the YouTube channel. And we're not doing bilingual. So you speak Spanish or you don't?
Un poquito.
Un poquito. Pero no vamos a hacer español. We're not doing bilingual today, guys. So I'm sorry. If you don't understand, well, there's not really much I can do. But anyway, let me show you the video clip here. Shayne Mckinney, and we got his picture right on the right side of the screen. If you can see it, Shayne. Hold on real quick.
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me show you. I think this is the right video. Let's talk about this. This is very dear to my heart because Section 8, well, let me just show the audience this. Oh, hold on.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Please stand by.
This is the stuff that you deal with when you go live. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. It's okay.
Live is great, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Live is great. Hold on. I think this is it.
And if I want to speak to,
Oh, that's not the one.
Hi boys and girls, it's Shayne. I'm at my local housing authority to help a tenant potentially get Section 8. This is an assistance program that our government offers to help people that are low income be able to afford rental properties they might not otherwise be able to afford. And this is kind of a whole housing community around here for low income housing, but I'm hoping I can provide one of my houses to a tenant that's low income. Let's see how this works. I have no idea how this works. So it looks like we start with pressing bell for service. I bet there was a time when you could just walk in here. So I get to come in through the middle door, it seems. So I filled out the information it looked like on the forms that you're requesting.
So are you signed up with us already or no?
I talked to somebody once at a public event and they supposedly said I was going to be on the list, but I've never had a home inspection. I've never had anything done that apparently needs to happen in order to do this. So I am lost, and I would love for you to tell me what I need to do as a landlord to be able to help. I guess will this be pretty quick? Because I have other tenants right now that are interested in this rental.
So right
And
now,
this person seems like they'd want to get in quickly. Like, is this going to be 2 or 3 weeks, or is this the kind of thing we
yeah, it
complete
could
in a
be
couple days?
It could be a couple weeks because the case manager that's handling her case is out until next week. So yeah.
Okay. So this is one of those things where I either have to hold off for anybody else renting it, or I got it. Yeah. There's no fast track or anything we can do to speed it up.
I could ask my supervisor, but other than that, she'll have to.
This is kind of what happened last time when I had a potential Section 8 tenant. Is I have so many other people that want to rent from me that the extra timing makes it harder to rent Section 8.
Yeah.
All right. That's how I found you on TikTok. I want to ask you, tell me about this. What's your opinion?
Okay, so Section 8, first off, I think has a place within our society. Some people, and I'm libertarian leaning, but there are some people that just need help. Some people that are in difficult situations, and Section 8 can be the thing that can help them to get their life in order and can help them to be able to provide a stable home for their family so they can raise their children, and so that we can help to have a more collective group of, stable, housed people rather than a larger homeless population that's more desperate and living on the streets. So I think it serves a need. You can't both want to have less homelessness and want to have less crime and want to have children and not want them to become housed in a better way. So the idea of Section 8 is an idea that I think everyone can get behind. The implication or the implementation of a government doing this, I think, is where we all start to have a problem. Most of us don't like to go through a TSA line. Most of us don't like going to the DMV. Most of us don't like anything that the government is involved in when it comes to them having authority. Yet we design government systems in order to provide housing for these people that we are rarely interacting with. And we expect it to be better than that. I mean, it's not better than that. It's awful. It's awful for the people that need it. It's awful for the people that want to provide it. It's awful for the workers that are trying to navigate the bureaucracy from the workers' perspective. It's not the people behind the desk that I'm talking to's fault that this process doesn't work. It's a government system. It's inherently inefficient and bad. And we can do better. We can do better. But in order to do better, I think we all have to face the fact that to fix a computer, you sometimes have to unplug it and then plug it back in. You sometimes need to restart. And that's an uncomfortable thing because it affects a lot of people that are already within these programs. And how do you change it without harming them, right?
I agree. So let the viewers know that you are, because a lot of your videos talk about rents, apartments. You're a landlord, a successful landlord. You are an entrepreneur. You do a lot. You have a lot of rental properties. A lot
sometimes,
of Airbnbs. Am I correct?
That is correct. I do Airbnbs and real estate investing. And one of the things and goals of my channel is to teach people how to, like I just did a credit building video. I do one close to the beginning of every month. So I just did a video right before we went live on how to fix your credit and how to improve your credit score. I want to teach people and empower people to be able to buy houses. The reason why I started social media is I saw all these videos, and I'm sure you've seen these as well. A lot of them went viral explaining, usually from a millennial, explaining to other millennials why they will never be able to buy a house the way their mother could buy a house or the way their grandmother could buy a house. That compared to the amount of money they make in a year, a house costs so much more than it costs for grandma, and so much more than it costs for mother. And so there's just no way they could just never do it. And this is all misinformation. This is all just made up things that are not true. I've bought 3 houses this year without any money down, 2 of them without even a credit check. And every single person listening in this audience over the age of 18 could have bought all 3 of those houses. There was no special bank favors. There was no, oh, you're a social media star, Shayne. Here, none of that was involved. These are deals that every single one of your audience members could have done. So part of my channel was to teach people how to buy houses. The problem is this: we've made a system where we go talk to a realtor. The realtor takes us to look at the HGTV approved houses in our area that have the HGTV makeover. And then we go talk to the same mortgage lenders that have been approved since 2008 to do exactly the same kind of loans for the same kind of people with the same credit scores. And we've tried to turn it into this path. And our objective was, let's get everybody on this path, and then we all become homeowners the same way. And that's wild. Like, how many of us do things the same way? Most of us can't even drive down the same lane on a road. Some of us are going to be swerving. Some of us want to go fast. Some of us wants to go slow and take it easy. But for some reason, we think everybody can walk the same path towards home ownership. That's absurd. It's ridiculous. And there are many different ways to do it. And that's what I want to try to bring about, is how many different ways can we buy houses? What's best for each one of you? Those were the things we tried to tackle to begin with.
Well,
so in the same way, Section 8, sorry to interrupt, but Section 8 created let's get everybody to walk this path in order to get housing assistance and do these same things. And I think that's absurd to try to get a group of individuals with individual needs, individual talents, to walk through a line of forms that are identical and expect to get a positive result. All you're going to get is a traffic jam.
Do you agree that Section 8, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if we disagree on this, it's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. God bless you. Do you believe that if Section 8 is done correctly and you take out all the red tape, that it can alleviate homelessness by about 85%?
No, I wouldn't say 85% at all. There is a huge amount of homelessness in our nation right now that is tied to mental health and substance abuse. And that is, at least in our area, most of our homelessness is tied to one of those two things. Very little of it is tied to, I live in one of the lowest cost of living to highest income areas in the country. You can rent a 1-bedroom house from me. I have one for $600 a month.
Where's this at?
Fort Smith, Arkansas. It's a city of about 100,000 people, 250,000 in the MSA. So you can go work at McDonald's. Our minimum wage is $11.50. I think McDonald's starts at $14 an hour, and you can do that part-time and afford a 1-bedroom apartment or a house like I have available for $600 a month. You can do that. So despite that, we still have a huge number of homeless. Is it because they can't afford the rent? Well, it's because they can't afford the rent, maybe, but it's because they can't afford it because they can't maintain their life. There's so many other factors within their lives that are out of control. Their habits, their mental health state, those kinds of things. And we don't have good places for achieving the mental health that I think needs to be helped for enough of those people. So do I think it would help to have a more efficient Section 8 system? Yes. I think there are families like the one I was trying to help that would absolutely be helped by a more efficient Section 8 system. But I would say that's probably only 40, maybe 50% of the population of homeless that would be helped by that.
And it bothers me when I see a bureaucrat, government worker, the lady tells you, well, she went on vacation or she went out and everything rests. Like, you're counting, you want to help one of the potential tenants get Section 8, and then she tells you, well, it's going to take 2 more weeks, and everything's in her hands. Like,
right. And that's frustrating. And I could understand where that causes some rage for some people. It causes frustration for me. But at the same time, she's working, her job. She probably works 50 weeks a year. She's going to have some vacation time. And because the way the structure is set up, it rests within her. And that's where the problem comes about, is we don't have redundancy. We don't have the opportunity for someone to pick that up from her. But it's difficult to have redundancy of job unless we want to increase the number of employees that are doing the job, or we want to lower the threshold of the government oversight to be able to provide those benefits. So it's easy to get frustrated, but you can also understand, I need time off from time to time. You need time off from time to time. Our system should work regardless of whether she is there or not. And that's where I have the frustration.
So in Miami, Florida, I've got tons of videos about homelessness. I've gone, have you been to I think you've mentioned to me, I believe you mentioned to me, you've been to Miami. Have you been to downtown Miami?
Yes.
Okay, I've been there at 3 o'clock in the morning. Crazy me, yes, moi. Recording. I've got tons of videos of just recording homeless individuals sleeping in the streets. I agree with you. Mental health is a big problem. Special needs is a big problem. A lot of them are special needs, and drug addiction is a big problem, including mainly fentanyl. What's the solution, in your opinion?
So-
What's the solution?
As a nation, I feel like we isolate individuals when they have problems. We ostracize them from the group. We put them into situations where you've got a drug addiction. Now you're a felon. Now you can't get a job. Now you've lost whatever job you had. Now you can't get an apartment as easily. It shows up on your background check. We have systems that isolate individuals over what really are mental health issues. And I understand the idea of addiction being a choice. It's a choice you should have never made to do this, and so on and so forth. But at some point, you all need to grow up and come to the conclusion that it's a mental health that leads to that problem. And this is close to me. My son has struggled with some mental health issues and addiction issues before, that has had a huge impact on my family, and has definitely added to our complications. And a lot of you may have family members that have struggled with mental health, or a family member that's been in addiction. And it happens to all social classes. And I've seen it from the wealthiest people I know to some of the poorest people that I know. It's not a class division. It's just you may have more resources to be able to help that person if you're of a higher class. But as a society, we need to quit isolating these individuals, and we instead need to figure out how to incorporate them into a group. Humans are social. We live in a social way. The things we spend the most time right now, what we're doing is social media. We're getting a social connection between you and I. And this is important. It allows us to exchange ideas. It allows us to become part of a group. It allows us to learn how to improve credit. It allows us to learn ways to buy houses. It allows us to learn all of those things, to have the backing like, hey, can you help me get a job where you work? Yeah, I can probably get you on. Let me talk to the supervisor. All of those social advantages that we isolate these people from, I think, contribute a great deal to it.
So, would you agree that sending to over $150 billion to Ukraine is a big mistake, and that money should be better spent here in the United States to address these mental health issues, which I'm going to agree. I agree with you, and I'll get to the other part. To try to fix it. Over 150 billion. I think we're now over 200 billion, and growing. It can be used to fix the mental health issues, mental health crisis in this country.
Well, I don't think you can just throw money at a problem to fix it. Government, if that were the case, then the whole world would, think about the money that we spent on the war on terror, for example. There would be no terror if spending money on a problem fixed it. Spending money doesn't necessarily result in solving a problem. Do I support spending incredible amounts of my money that's taxed from me on overseas battles that have no impact on me? No, I don't support that, but I also don't support the idea of not defending a person asking for aid from someone that's being aggressive with them. I don't know all the details about this whole thing. Like, to say that I'm not a political expert on foreign affairs. I'm very small amount of knowledge, but I do hesitate to approve of my tax dollars being spent in overseas countries for things that probably aren't going to have an impact on us financially.
So let's get back to this country right here. Let's talk about the fentanyl. Do you believe the fentanyl and the drug crisis that this country, in your opinion, how big of a problem it is right now going on?
Well, it's clearly a severe problem. I am an Airbnb host, and we have had more than one occasion where we've had to clean up the leftover drug remains from people that stayed overnight in one of our places and left contraband of various kinds. We keep the little nasal, Narcan? We keep the sprays for when somebody overdoses in our Airbnbs. We can pick them up free, and they get used frequently. But the reason why I will keep those there is because it's just a matter of time, and it's still going to happen when I wake up to go clean an Airbnb, or a housekeeper does, and she finds an OD person unalive on our bed or something. And
Yeah.
that's going to happen. That will be a video that will be on my channel. Maybe not this week, maybe not this year, but at some point it will happen. So we've tried to prepare for it. We don't want it to happen, but we know it will happen. It's just a reality. It's just a thing. And every hotel knows that this is going to happen. Every vacation rental place knows that this is eventually going to be something that happens. It's that ubiquitous. But here's the thing: is it just fentanyl? Before it was fentanyl, it was heroin. Before, I mean, whatever. There's always going to be something that people are trying to use to escape this world and to tickle their dopamine receptors. And isolation from the group, all these other things, I really think make a bigger part in that. I hate the fact that when somebody makes a mistake and maybe does something for the first time and gets caught, that now they are held outside of this society and not able to get to the help they need. I don't think that's the way to fix it.
I agree. We all deserve a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
We all deserve sometimes even a third chance, because maybe on the third try, we finally get it right and we fix it. Do you agree with how President Trump is handling the situation? How he's taking on the fentanyl crisis. Do you believe he's doing enough, or do you believe he has to do more?
I don't believe his methods are targeted in a way that are going to be effective. So we've tried prohibition in many times. Prohibition of alcohol. We tried that for how many years? And this was back before airplanes were ubiquitous and submarines and everything else to get something in a country didn't exist. And we couldn't stop booze from coming into the country. In fact, we realized we were just creating organized crime and creating gangsters and creating murders and creating all the problems by trying to stop something like that. Prohibition doesn't work. You create a black market for whatever you prohibit. And the more you try to lock it down, the more violent and the more expensive the things that do get in become, and the more dangerous those things become. Ultimately, the way to control something is with free market. I truly believe that, and this is probably my libertarian leaning, but I truly believe in the ability to legalize and regulate a market. If people can buy the substances that they want to buy instead of from some street corner junkie that they don't know what's going on, if they can buy it from a clean provider with pharmaceutical licensing and all the things necessary for a lower price, I think that you can create better controls around that. And then we can also focus on trying to get help for the individuals that are buying it. I think that's going to be much closer to a truly workable solution than trying to just say, no, this is always bad. No, this can never come in, and trying to stop it that way. A fentanyl dealer is going to come up with a way to get fentanyl into this country or to manufacture it. However, a fentanyl dealer will never learn how to compete with Walmart pharmacy. Walmart pharmacy will win every time. Once it becomes truly capitalized and once they're having to compete with real people that really know how to run business, I think that would shut them down faster than anything.
But in your view, would you agree fentanyl is very dangerous?
Absolutely. It's obviously very dangerous.
So how, if we do a free market, okay?
Right.
How do we control and keep it from being so dangerous?
Okay, so I work with power tools all the time that are dangerous. Hammers. I build houses. I work on things with hammers all the time. Now, they can smash my thumb, they can break it, they can hurt it, but they can also be a tool that we can utilize to accomplish certain tasks. Everything has an element of danger, but it also has certain useful qualities that it may have. It's a matter of how do we figure out how to use something in a safe way. How do we use it in a positive way rather than doing it in a negative way? There's nothing on this planet that can't be used badly or used that doesn't also have positive uses. Like everything has multiple capabilities. I know some of the most poisonous substances we use in our eyes to dilate them when we go in for having our eyes dilated in large quantities. That will absolutely knock you off. Yet every eye doctor uses it every time they need to check your eyes. Good uses, bad uses. Just because it's dangerous doesn't mean that there can't be ways to control that. And ultimately, I think a lot of the problem with the fentanyl crisis is people getting exposed to it through other methods and through other things where they don't expect.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's where you really get the most danger, is people trying to do something else and it's laced with it. Which that problem is solved by having clean suppliers that are regulated, and
Yes, I agree.
so,
Yeah.
and I think that reduces the death and that reduces the danger greatly. Will it ever be zero? No, it'll never be zero. But the risk of alcohol is not zero. The risk of many things that we have legalized are not zero, but they can become manageable. And then once it's no longer felon, like now you're a felon because you did this substance, now it becomes, oh, you clearly have a problem with this. How do we treat you? How do we get you back to work? How do we get you out of this? And I think that's a much more tenable approach. And this isn't just me trying to circle the campfire and sing Kumbaya. I understand this isn't an easy transition. And I also understand this isn't something that can be done tomorrow. You don't just, now it's all legal, do whatever you want. Like, that's not what I'm saying either. But I do think there's a balance there that we can find somewhere where we eliminate the black market. So we eliminate the reason for cartels to be working to bring it in. Just like what we did with the prohibition, when we finally decided, you know what, clearly this is not working. Clearly we do not have the capacity, despite our incredible nation's police force and everything else, to stop this from happening, and continuing to try is a fool's errand. And we've had a war on drugs going my entire life. There's never been a moment that I've been alive that we haven't had a war on drugs.
It's a failed war.
How many years do we have to keep fighting it before we say, you know what, apparently this isn't going to work? Yep.
It's a failed war, and it's a war that this country will never win.
It's just not going to happen. So once we accept we cannot win it, there's nothing that we can do that can win it, then it becomes, well, if we're going to lose this war, what do we become? How do we change it? How do we make the losing the war not so bad? And how do we shift these money towards things that would be more helpful? And again, I don't believe throwing lots of money at it fixes a problem. Just like with Section 8, I don't think increasing $150 billion for Section 8 helps at all. I don't think that changes the situation at all.
I agree, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Alexander Carlos with the Alexander News Show, and on the other side of the screen, in Arkansas. And by the way, your central time zone right now is 7:43 Central Time, and in Miami time zone it's 8:43 Central Time. Am I right? That's pretty much how it is. Yeah, 8:44. And Shayne Mckinney, entrepreneur, landlord, successful landlord. We're going to talk about real quick with credit. Oh, by the way, you can find him on social media. Shayne is great. All the information is below the ticker, and below the screen, his links are there. Tell me about what's the number one thing that people need to do to fix to not ruin their credit.
Okay, well, so everybody worries about not ruining their credit. Let's forget trying to think of it that way. Okay, because trying to avoid making mistakes, we all make mistakes. Every single person makes mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. It's normal to make mistakes. It's just stressful to live your days thinking, how do I avoid making mistakes? Instead, let's just learn how to minimize the damage mistakes cause, and how it actually works. I say to treat it like a game. The word score is what we use in a game. We have a football score, we have a basketball score, we have a credit score. It's because it's a game. It's got rules. And when you learn how the rules work and you play that game, it suddenly becomes much, much better. And every basketball team is going to miss shots. Every basketball team is going to have turnovers. But at the end of the day, you can still win by getting a high enough score. So I treat it like a game, and I learn the rules. Once you learn the rules, it becomes a lot simpler, and it becomes something every single person that's listening to this can do. It is doable. So the first thing, I'll give you an example. Missing a credit payment, like being late. Oh no, now I'm late on a payment, right? Your credit score tanks. You look on Credit Karma, it's gone down. You try to get an apartment, now you can't get the apartment because your credit score isn't good enough. And you think, I missed this payment, and it's going to be 7 years before my credit is fixed because this payment's going to be on here for 7 years. And it's just disheartening. It hurts, right? But
yes,
you're wrong. It's not the missed payment. It's the number of missed payments compared to the number of on-time payments. So if you have a car and a credit card, and that's all you have, in a year you make 24 payments on time. If you're late on one of them, that's close to 5% of your payments that are late. 5% of the time you're late. That's too much. The bank's not going to lend to you. If you had 5 credit cards or 10 credit cards, now you have 120 on-time payments every year. If you're late on one, that's less than 1% of your payments that are late. Every bank will lend to you. You're 99% of the time you're on time. You're good to go. It's not that one late payment. It's the number of good things that you do that matter, not the bad things. We don't focus on the mistakes. We focus on how do we get the things that the credit rewards us for. So I encourage signing up for several credit cards and then using them very, very little, because the other thing that will get you is credit utilization. If you have $5,000 of credit that you're using right now, you've got $5,000 in debt, and your credit score's tanked because you're using too much. Maybe you have 6,000 available and you've got 5,000 of it used. Your credit score is going to be low. It's going to be bad. That sucks. And you can pay it down, and slowly, if you could pay it down to $1,000, suddenly you may have some good credit again. But that could take a while, and your interest rates are going to go up, and bad things are going to be happening to you during that time. I mean, credit's even used sometimes for applying for jobs. You might not even get a job because of this high balance. So instead, you sign up for 10 credit cards, and we don't use 10, but we sign up for several credit cards. Each one of them gives us a $2,000 limit here, a $500 limit there, another $2,000 here. You increase your available credit to $15,000 or $20,000. Now you're using 25% of your credit. You're using less than 30%. Well, guess what, Alex? Now, suddenly, you're a great guy. We can lend to you, no problem. You didn't pay any of your credit down at all. You increase the available, so now your amount used doesn't matter. So same thing. Increasing the good things that we do improves our situation more so than taking care of the bad things, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, and very interesting take. So one more question in regards to the credit, and I want to move back. I want to move back real quick into the landlord part. What would be the best credit card to suggest to anyone that wants to?
Well, the best credit card depends on your situation. If you're just getting started, I think Open Sky has a great credit card program. So I think looking up the Open Sky card is one of the more approachable. Anybody here, almost without exception, can get approved for an Open Sky card. There are very few people that they will turn down, and the fees and everything related to it aren't as bad as some of the other secured cards and things that people will start with. Another pretty good one that will accept almost anybody is an Indigo MasterCard. Wow. And getting those two cards started off will give you the opportunity to make an on-time payment every single month, and then just set something you're going to spend anyway. Maybe your Netflix. Put your Netflix account on it, so it charges you $15 this month, and set it to automatically pay. So as soon as the bill comes out, it pays that same $15. Now you've got a payment on time every single month, and you're using a small amount of the available credit. 2 or 3 months of doing that, your credit will be 75, 100 points higher than it is today. Wow. And it doesn't change anything that you've done. You're still buying your Netflix. All you've done is you've put in another person between you and that payment, and it's something almost anyone can do.
Wow. That's amazing. That's great advice. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in and supporting the program and the show. And please, you want to follow Shayne Mckinney. All his information, the links are below the video of the YouTube channel, and also right here below the ticker. He is one of the most interesting individuals that I've ever found on social media. I watch all his videos. It's very entertaining. I even before I go to sleep, I kid you not, my wife tells me, what are you doing? I'm like, talk to me. I'm like, no. Hold on, babe. Let me look at this video because it's very interesting. And I'm watching your videos. That's how entertaining it is. That's why I'm telling everybody to follow you.
Well,
because you're
thank
a
you.
rising star. You have it in you. You have the it factor. Straight up, you have the it factor. It's only a matter of time where you'll be more and more known. That's my opinion, but I mean, I could be wrong, but.
Well, this week I've been contacted by agents and I've gotten an agent now. I've been
Well, there you
cast
go.
to be in a movie. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are happening on my side here, and I don't know how to handle it all because I'm still like today, I crawled under a house and worked on a gas line. We did a video of how to, working on a gas leak at one of my tenants' houses. So I'm still crawling under, getting the spider webs all in my hair, all the normal things every day. But at the same time, having millions of people see my videos every week. And there's a transition that's happening, and I don't know exactly how all that looks going forward, but I'm hoping to be able to bring more positive things, more common sense, and more success to people. One of my favorite things is I get messages from people now every single week of people that were able to buy their first house because of following my techniques, or their credit score is 100 points higher and now they've gotten an apartment that they could have never gotten because they listened to me. Or I've a guy that's 23 years old. He owns 6 houses now. He didn't own any.
Wow.
He listened to me a couple of years ago. He was one of my early followers. And after a few months, he bought his first investment house, and then he bought his second investment house. And then I went to go buy something on Facebook Marketplace, and he's like, "No way." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I can't believe you just messaged me." And I was like, hi. And at the time, I had 15,000 followers. I had almost no followers back then. And he's like, "You're the reason why I bought these houses and stuff." And so we go up and I buy this gate from him, and we talk and we become friends. And now he's up to 6 or 7 houses, maybe 8 houses. And he's just rocking and rolling. 23 years old. I wish I had started this when I was 23 years old. If I could go back and turn the clock back, I would have started so much younger. But those are the things that make me proud, is to have those messages of people changing their lives with the information that I'm providing. That's the reason why I put the effort into doing it. The becoming a social media star or any of those things, that was not my intention. I'm glad hopefully I can make it to where I can reach more people. But my intention was just to help people.
So before I ask you the landlord stuff, what made you the type of person you are today? Who taught you? Who influenced you?
Wow. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like that's a question that I should be able to answer.
People out there. There are people out there. They're good people. There's one here in Miami, Florida, that is like he's helped me a lot. And I'm talking about in the special needs part. But where did you learn all this to become who you are?
So first off, there are several things about who we are, and it's always evolving and changing. To think this is who I am today, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. I'm constantly evolving and constantly changing person. So as far as financially into real estate investing, that came from my wife was listening to a podcast about money and wealth and trying to figure out how we could better our lives. We homeschooled our kids, and they were getting old enough to be independent and getting ready to start their jobs. And she was trying to figure out her place, going from full-time homeschool mom to how do we work together. And so she was listening to some financial wellness podcasts and other things. And she heard about a game by Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow. It's a board game with dice and like a Monopoly board. She spent $80 on this, dude. $80. I came home and I was like, "You spent $80 on a board game?" And she's like, "I heard that it would help teach us financial investing." I'm like, $80, dear. Like, I'm a smart guy. We're not going to learn anything from this. She was right, by the way. This was the best money we ever spent. And I regret so much questioning her even about this. But we sat down and we played it, and it was 15, maybe 20 minutes into the game. And it totally rewired my brain into a real estate investor brain that I had never, ever thought even for a second about owning rental properties. It was not on my radar at all. Zero. And the next day I called my bank, and within 6 to 8 weeks, we had our first investment property. And I was full-time doing nothing but that 6 months later. Like I went all in after playing that game. So Robert Kiyosaki is a famous financial educator. I could thank him for that element of that. I could also think maybe the podcaster that I don't even know who it was that my wife was following that talked about that game. So, there are people that I can
What's the name of the game, by the
absolutely
way? Sorry.
cash flow.
Wow. Okay.
You can find it on my TikTok showcase. I highly recommend it. It still costs $80, but it's the best $80 we have ever spent in our entire life. In hindsight, I would pay $10,000 for that game without a second thought. I would not regret it at all. It made me that much money. So it's an incredible deal. But
wow, amazing. What's the hardest thing about being a landlord? The hardest thing.
When you go for an est, like a hardest or the most, you're always going to single out things. For each person, it's going to be different. For me, it's probably the organization or the dealing with people that aren't leading up to that expectation. I want everybody to succeed. I'm an optimistic person. I believe in me being able to help you being able to help me, us being able to help others. I believe somebody watching this video right now is going to change their whole future and is going to end up with good credit and buy properties. Like I have that optimistic outlook all the time. I believe my tenants are going to take good care of my houses and are going to keep them clean and not cause damage. I'm wrong sometimes. I have videos. I have some videos that are very mistreated houses. And when people talk about the housing shortage and homelessness, people want to look at landlords and corporate buyers of homes and government problems with Section 8. I can tell you there's an incredible amount of vacant homes in America today because of trashed houses by tenants. Tenants trashing houses. I had a house that took me 3 months to get it ready to rent again. That's 3 months that a family of 5 or 6 isn't living in that house. 3 months of
it's hard.
That family on the street potentially because that home isn't available on the market. And that's from poor home maintenance, poor mental health, because this was really a mental health break that led to this or something along those lines. But I tend to be overly optimistic with my tenants. I probably need to be more in their face and check in on them to try to prevent these things from happening. But I also want to give my tenants the independence that I would want. And a lot of my tenants thrive under those circumstances and love it. But I definitely get taken advantage of as well.
Have you ever evicted someone?
Only once.
Wow.
Yeah, I've only had to do it once. And ironically, Arkansas, first off, this is going to sound wild from talking about the housing problem, but if you want to help the housing problem, make evictions easier, which sounds counterintuitive. If you want to reduce homelessness, make evictions easier. Arkansas is the easiest state to do evictions by far in the country. Up until the pandemic happened, it took less than 24 hours in my city to do an eviction. If you were late on rent today, I could have the sheriff there tomorrow to change the locks. It
not
was
like here
that
in Miami,
fast.
In Florida. It's not here like that.
So it's not most places like that. Now, that was a little bit quick. Now it takes about a week and a half, and I think that's a great amount of time. So why does having easy evictions make it easier to avoid homelessness and some of these problems? As a landlord, it's very easy for me to take a chance on somebody. I rent to people right out of rehab. I rent to people with felonies. I rent to people with very bad credit that are trying to get a second chance. Because if they fail to do so, I can have them out in a week. I can have them out in just a few days. And so it's not a big risk for me. If I'm in California, I could not be a nice guy. It can take almost a year to get somebody evicted in California. So I would have to do a credit check. And the whole year, now I have a family not paying the rent. Now I'm not making the money I need to pay the bills, including the mortgage, the insurance, the upkeep, the maintenance. I'm having to pay attorneys. I'm having to pay for all these things to go through this eviction process. So why would I take a chance and rent to somebody that's out of rehab that's probable to relapse? I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to. And that's the take that these people have in California or in New York or in some of these more difficult states.
It's the most populated state for homelessness. The worst state for homelessness.
And it's the hardest state to do an eviction. Those two things are going to correlate almost across the board. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I bet if you looked at the numbers of homeless rates versus ease of eviction, I bet those would correlate perfectly, just from a landlord's perspective. Also, rent prices. I'm going to have to charge a much higher rent in California to my tenants that are paying to make up for the one that I'm stuck with for a year that doesn't pay. So that's going to drive the rent values up, which affects the evaluation of properties and everything else, and drives up the cost of houses for those that are wanting to buy their first homes. I mean, all of that is driven up with the trying to be kind and providing people and I get it. Eviction is a bad subject. But it's a thing that has to happen sometimes. When you have a tenant, so the only eviction I had to do was on a tenant that was hooked on substances, and she wasn't able to take care of her bills. She wasn't even able to take care of her kids. Getting to a point of an eviction can be a life-changing moment for her, and it was a life-changing moment for her. At first, obviously, she couldn't, but hitting bottom is when we begin to turn back up, and things can become better for a lot of people. What's that?
Have you heard from her?
Yes, she ended up getting a job not too long after at a local Dollar General just down the road from me. So I'd see her occasionally. In the first few times, she would tear up and clearly be upset. But over a period of time, months and months and months that followed, you could tell that, and that became an important moment of getting her life together for her. And so she was thankful for that. It changed.
You taught her a lesson.
Well, it's not just it's not teaching her a lesson. It's the motivation to change. In my area, we have a high drug usage problem, like many areas. But our area, I think it's a little bit different because of how low the cost of living is, and how high the income relative to the cost of living is. It's very easy to have a part-time job at McDonald's and still make your rent. Wow. That means that it's very easy to afford a habit and still make your rent. Whereas in most cities, you would not be able to afford your drugs and still pay your rent. You'd be homeless in no time. Here, you can actually have a house and be okay. So it allows people, I feel like we end up with much longer term users that never hit bottom.
Yeah.
And until they hit bottom, there's not always a motivation to actually change what they're doing. So that's a two-edged sword.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few. I just have a couple of more questions. We have a few more minutes left. I don't want to take up the rest of your time.
Is anybody in the audience able to ask questions, or do we have a live chat going or anything like that?
Well, I do have a question from a viewer. His name is Ryan Ruth. He has a 465 credit score.
Okay.
He wants to know, what can he do? He wrote I don't know if it's, let me see. I'm looking for it right here. He has about, hold on. He actually has 200,000 down for a down payment.
You have 200,000 for a down payment. Congratulations. That's great.
But he has a 465 credit score.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The credit score is irrelevant. First off, make sure to follow me because I'm going to help you a lot through this. But I have bought 3 homes this year without a credit check on any of them, and I'm going to look at one this weekend without credit involved at all. So 0 credit involved. So you can absolutely buy houses without credit. Now, you're not just going to go down to your local Keller Williams and ask for one of their realtors and say, come show me the model homes and let's go buy one. That's not how it's going to work for you. You're going to need to do it differently. You're going to be on a different path than these others. And your regular real estate channels aren't going to be able to help you with that. You need to learn to buy like an investor, like somebody like me. And that amount of money that you have is going to be a huge tool in being able to accomplish that. In fact, if you'd like to reach out and send me a message, I could probably give you some specific guidance in your situation. Wow. I do take DMs. So if you want to send me a message, that would be something to help you in that situation. But there's subject to would be a great thing to look for. So I'm going to go talk to somebody on a subject to house this upcoming weekend.
Awesome. You know, guys, by the way, where to find them. Information's down below the ticker. Shayne
right. So subject to, let me explain this. So let's say you bought a house in 2021 or 2022, something like that. And you've lived in this house for 2 or 3 years. And now you've got a career change. You need to move to, the person I'm going to be talking to is moving to Malaysia for a career opportunity. But you own this house. Now, your home hasn't necessarily appreciated by very much over where you bought it. So you bought a house for $200,000. You paid a down payment on it, maybe of 30 grand. So you have 170,000, and then the market dropped in your area. And now the home is worth 180,000 or 185. So you may think, okay, well, let's sell the home, get the 185,000, pay off the 170, and walk away with 15 grand. But that's not really how it works. What'll happen is when you sell that home, you're going to have to pay the realtors, and you're going to have to pay the closing costs, and you're going to have to pay any problems with that house.
Wow.
And you're going to end up writing a check for $20,000 on closing that. So you're going to end up leaving your house and having to write a check for $5,000. That's not optimal. You don't want to do that. And there are right now probably 10,000 people in the United States trying to sell a home under the circumstances that they're going to write a check when their home sells. They're going to lose money as soon as the home sells. That's that common of a thing. There are going to be 10,000 people. I'd be willing to bet on it right now. So I'm going to talk to one of these people, and I'm going to enable her to walk away from her house, and I'm going to take her position as the lien holder, because all FHA loans are assumable. I won't have a credit check involved in this. I will just take over her FHA loan. I'll be making the payment that she was making. Her name will no longer be on it. It'll be in my name, so she can go get another home loan if she wants or anything else. And I'll begin making the payments. And in this case, I won't even have to make a down payment. I'm just saving her the loss of money and loss of time. But in some cases, maybe you give the person $20,000 down, and now they get to walk away with 20 grand instead of walking away with nothing, and you take their position in the mortgage. And sometimes you can do this and get a really low interest rate that you can't even get today. Like you can get a 2.5% or 3% interest rate, like something from the past, when everybody else is paying 6% interest. And you can do that because you have that $200,000 available. So that gives you a lot of bargaining power on deals like this. If I had $200,000 sitting in an account, even with the 465 credit score, I could probably buy 10 to 15 houses before this next year passed. That would probably be a possibility.
Well, I have another viewer, Najder FC5. Najder FC5 is asking, do you go to a regular big bank for your loans?
Sometimes, but I would suggest looking for smaller banks as a real estate investor or a small-time person starting. So if you go talk to Chase Bank, Chase isn't going to get excited until the loan is in the millions. They're a multi-billion-dollar bank. They make billions and billions of dollars. Lending you money for a $50,000 house in Fort Smith, Arkansas is not a thing that anybody cares about there. That's just extra paperwork for them. But if you find your small local bank that only does a few $1 million in lending a year, every $50,000, $100,000 is important for them making the bottom line. So you're going to get a lot more personalized treatment from a smaller bank when you're dealing with small loans. And the bigger banks are more suited for bigger loans. And that's just, I think that makes sense.
So is there money with the Airbnbs?
There can be, but you can also lose, like anything else, there's ups and downs to it. Just because you buy a house or you rent a house and think I'm going to Airbnb this, other Airbnbs in my area make $3,000 a month. I'll make $3,000 a month. It doesn't always work that way. You need to look at location. You need to look at what amenities you can offer. You need to think about your upkeep and cleaning expenses. I mean, it's a business and it has to be ran as such. I've got thousands of dollars a month in cleaning bills. I've got thousands of dollars in electric bills that I have to pay, on top of the mortgages on the properties themselves and furnishings and upkeeps. It's a business. It's like running a hotel. So there's expenses. Now you run the numbers and you figure out what you can do. And yes, it can be profitable. I would say this though, in most cases, places that make really good single family rentals don't make good Airbnbs. So if it's in a nice cul-de-sac neighborhood, all the brick houses, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage, that's not your Airbnb neighborhood. That's just not. Your Airbnb houses will generally not be good single family rentals. So I have some houses close to downtown on busy streets that are, you wouldn't want to raise your kids in these houses because they have very small yards and things. But for an Airbnb, it's perfect. It's easy to find. It's close to the stuff people are in town to do. The kids are going to be inside looking at all the cool stuff that's inside anyway when they get there. It's short walking distance to playgrounds and other stuff like that. Those make really good Airbnbs. So generally speaking, that's my rule of thumb. If it makes a good Airbnb, it's probably not a great single family rental, and vice versa.
So outside of Arkansas, what would be another state? Would you ever consider and be, what would be the second part of the United States where you would consider buying a property?
So I would consider buying a property almost anywhere. But the numbers don't, like, Arkansas is an incredible state for investing, especially the Fort Smith market is incredible for investing. Our numbers are off the charts here compared to most places. There's some places in Ohio that have some numbers that are pretty close. There's some places in the Midwest and some of the western part of Pennsylvania I've seen where the numbers are just wildly better than some of the numbers around them. Alabama, Tennessee has still some neighborhoods, although it's getting a little harder in Tennessee to find those. Texas has some areas, but not as much as it used to have. So there are certain states that are opportunities where the values are going up rapidly, but they're still way undervalued. So you can spend very little and get in on a house that has a high rent value. Those are the great markets. Now, this is one of the mistakes people make is, well, mom was able to buy a house here in San Francisco and I can't buy a house because the market's changed and it'll cost me too much. I'll never be a homeowner. It's like, well,
like Miami right now.
Yeah, or Miami. Well, hello, your ancestors moved there. They moved there for an opportunity at some point. Why do you think you're so privileged that you don't need to move for an opportunity yourself? Humans are migratory. We move for opportunities.
Yeah.
Whether your ancestors were following buffalo across prairie or jumping in a boat knowing they would never see their mother again the rest of their life, and they couldn't FaceTime her, by the way, that it was a one-way trip, they would move for opportunities. You may need to move for an opportunity. You don't need to consider yourself so entitled and so privileged that that's the only place you could live.
Yeah, like in Miami right now, there was an article, I posted it on my platform a few days ago on all my news, where Miami, the real estate market is about to crash. I don't know if you're aware of what's going on. But
there are some pretty negative things for Florida with some of the insurance passage laws and things like that that are coming to play. But this is the thing. Some areas are known for boom and bust cycles. Miami, Tampa, Florida is definitely a boom and bust market. It always has been. This is nothing new. Southern California, San Francisco, there's just some of these cities that just, they boom and bust. And you're going to lose money if you buy at the top of the roller coaster because it's going to drop. But then you get into the game where you're trying to time when is the bottom and when is the top and trying to do this. So my advice is this: over time, even in these boom and bust things where it feels like, oh no, I just lost all this. If you look at a period of 10 years, the trend in real estate is upward. Even following the 2008 crash, the trend goes upward. So don't wait to buy real estate, but buy real estate and then wait. Wait, and the time will take care of your mistakes or your problems.
Okay, interesting. I have a viewer that asked, what is the biggest mistake you've ever made with real estate? Let me see. From Joe Smith, let me get it again. Sorry. Yeah, what is the biggest mistake you ever made in real estate? From Joe Smith.
So first off, every mistake I've made has still been profitable. Okay, so I've still made money off all my real estate ventures. I haven't lost money on a deal, but I didn't know some information. So I started literally off of a board game, as I said, and I jumped into it and I started doing it. And the way I bought my first few houses was with regular bank lending. And sorry, I got a hair tickling my nose. Was with regular bank lending. And there comes a point where your debt to income ratio gets out of line and a regular bank lender is not legally allowed to lend to you anymore. I hit that about 3 years ago and I could no longer get more bank loans. So I couldn't buy more houses. And in the real estate world, I make my money off buying houses. Everybody thinks I make my money off of rent. Rent pays the mortgages. Buying the houses and refinancing them is where I make my money. So not being able to get more lending meant I didn't make money. And suddenly this well of money dried up. And we definitely had some hard time there for a year and a half while I had to learn how to get different kinds of lending. And I couldn't figure it out for a while. But then I discovered some DSCR lenders. Those people were able to lend to me. And then I could start doing refinances without having to worry about my income limitations. And that allowed me to continue to grow. So that was probably the biggest mistake as far as what made it challenging for me. But I would say the biggest mistake that I probably made outside like an actual, that's just a lack of knowledge, but I would say a mistake is I bought a house that I loved to flip. I've only done a couple flips, and this one I bought for the purpose of flipping, and I love the house. I got it for $75,000. It was gorgeous. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story from 1904.
Wow.
All the hardwood floors, huge porches all around it, giant yard with 8-foot privacy fence, and 3-car garage in the back. And it was just awesome. It was just an awesome house, beautiful house. And I was emotionally attached to this house. And I decided, you know what? I don't want to rent this one. I think this is one I should renovate to sell to somebody, because I think a homeowner would be better. So I spent about 8 months working on getting this home ready to sell. Now, I could have renovated it to rent level in 2 months, but putting all the love into it and doing the giant custom cabinets and the countertops and taking the time to add a 3rd bathroom so there would be a full master bath, and adding the master closet and all these restructuring of everything. It was a lot of time. It wasn't a great deal of money, but it was a lot of time. And I put 8 months into this house, and I made $100,000 profit on it when we sold it, which
Wow.
sounds really good. Like, who wouldn't want to make $100,000 for 8 months of work? That's not bad,
Me.
right? But in reality, I would have been better off had I just done it as a rental.
Wow.
The appraisal value would have been very much the same. So when I sold this for $100,000, you have the realtor fees, probably $12,000 in realtors that got paid. I had to pay income tax on it because I sold it after having it a year. So that's income tax. So there's $30,000 gone. So after all that's subtracted, I made 50 grand maybe on it, maybe 55.
Okay. Now
For
it
8
makes
months.
sense.
Now it's not sounding so good. And
Yeah.
if I had just done it as a rental, I would have done a refinance on it after I'd finished fixing it up. I would have rented it to somebody. They'd be renting it still to this day at $1,500 a month. My payment on the refinance loan would be about $1,100. So I'd probably be clearing $200 a month after expenses. So I'd still be getting $200 a month on it every single month. But the refinance cash out on it would have been $60,000, $75,000, something like that, tax free.
Wow.
I would have had that money without paying taxes. So I would have ended up with probably $20,000 more dollars and $200 more a month every single month since then. So, financially, that wasn't the right move to make. I still made money, but it wasn't the right move. In real estate, a lot of times you can make mistakes and still make money. And I think that's one of the cool things about real estate. Not all mistakes are, oh my God, I just lost everything. It's not this HGTV, like, oh my God, I can't believe this knob and tube wiring or something was found. Now we've totally lost this project. And those kinds of things are just TV drama.
Wow. Well, let me ask you before I go any further, guys. Alexander News Show is the name of my platform. You can find me, Alexander Carlos, on Alexander News Show on all the social media platforms. All the information is below. By the way, you can also donate. You can buy a super chat. You can buy, I don't know, I forgot what it is. You just buy whatever you got to buy or donate through YouTube. But remember, YouTube keeps 30%. But you can donate via Cash App, Cash App, and then Cash Alexander News Show. And Shayne, let me ask you really quick before we finish the show, just a few more questions real quick. Who's the boss? Who's the real boss?
In my household?
You or your wife?
I'm the boss. So,
okay.
Yeah. And a lot of guys, you'd say that, but no, in reality, I'm the one that makes the decisions and guides things. But I would say that she is also a lot of wisdom, and she's also a lot of intuition, and a lot of, I do much better when I listen to her, like with the cash flow game. And I'm very glad that I did. But in general, I would be the more dominant person in our relationship, and she would be the more submissive side of that.
Okay. Very interesting. You have 2 sons, right?
Correct.
How old are your sons?
20 and 22.
Okay, perfect. Beautiful. So real quick about the DIY, which is home renovation. What's the part that you hate the most to do? What do you hate doing about home repairs? What's the one thing you hate to do?
Man,
that you have to do? That it's like, man,
I
don't
know.
want to do this.
Well, there are moments where I don't want to do lots of different things, but there's also a lot of rewarding that, like, the more I don't like doing it, the more satisfied you are when you finish it. You know what I mean? Like,
Of course.
there's things that I will put off and like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this. But then when you get it done, it's like, so good. Look at what I did. Like,
Yeah, because I saw you
so
painting the other day on Sunday.
right.
You hustle, man. You were
Yeah.
painting an
Well,
entire wood floor.
yeah. It's things that we have to do. It was, yeah, we were staining and refinishing and had to have that done for them to be able to move in. I
On
guess
the Sunday
the things that I enjoy probably the least are the uh, really dusty cleanup initial jobs where we'll get a house and it'll be full of cat urine and dog feces and it'll
Yeah,
be just nasty and it'll smell so bad and it
and I've
takes
seen it.
weeks of trying to deal with these to get them to be better. So if we're sanding the floors or we're having to scrape off, like we're going to start scraping some or some popcorn ceilings off a house, and it's going to kick up all this dust and nastiness and asbestos and all the protective and everything we have to do to protect ourselves from this stuff. That's just uncomfortable. It's miserable. We live in a very hot, warm climate like Florida. Today was 93 and super humid, and so it was like 85% humidity at 93 degrees. So we're sweating, and I'm crawling under a house, and it's all dusty and gross. I don't like the spiders. I don't enjoy crawling under houses. But
You
it's
don't like Doug flea. You don't like killing fleas.
no, I don't like having to deal with fleas. That's the thing we have
I
to.
saw
But
that
so there's
video that you had to put spray continuously, and you had a hard time getting rid of the fleas.
it takes usually 3 to 4 treatments over a period of 3 to 4 weeks, and that's true whether I buy professional service or I do it myself. So a lot of times will DIY it. Here's the thing, though. I guess this is the thing. A lot of people spend their lives thinking, and I think this is the thinking. I may be wrong, but I feel like this is true. A lot of people think I have problems. I can't pay my electric bill. I can't afford rent. All these things are difficult. I want money. If I had money, I wouldn't have these problems. And they spend their lives thinking, how can I get enough money so I won't have these problems? How can I get money so I won't have these problems? I make my money by going to all these problems you don't want. Like, so many of you are avoiding problems to the point that you're avoiding the money that comes from those problems. I would say one of the biggest secrets to making money and making wealth is to look for the problems that other people don't want. The houses covered in dog poop and cat pee. The houses with ceilings caving in. I'm working on a house. I'll start tomorrow with ceilings that have caved in and that had leaks and all these problems that are disgusting and mold and all the things that you're scared of. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make over $100,000 on this house by the time I'm done. And it'll take me about 6 weeks probably to do it all. And the reason why is because I'm jumping in and doing it. It's not because I'm more capable or this or more that. Some people I may be more like, but there's a guy, and I want to do an interview with this guy, and at some point I hope I can. We've been talking about it for a while. He started real estate investing in my area at about the same time as I did. He's an immigrant from Mexico. His name is Oscar, and he has just as many houses as I have. He's done all these houses in my area, and he's done it all from a wheelchair.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
Yes, he can't use his legs. He's very limited on mobility, but yet he's been able to be just as successful as I am as an immigrant with no help, just by figuring out how to hire people. You don't have to do it all yourself. You don't have to be the handyman to be able to do this. I enjoy the handyman side of things. I enjoy getting my hands dirty and physically involved in that, but that's not necessary. I'll teach you how to do these things because it's good to know. But lots of people do it without ever getting their hands dirty in the way that I do, at least.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, no, the gentleman you just told me, that's very inspiring. Let me tell you.
It also makes me feel like I could have done a lot better. It's like, man, if he can do as well as I do, then man, I should have done. So but that's a good point. Like, comparison to yourself to others can sometimes lead to, how do I improve? What can I learn from him? What are the things that he did differently? There's always opportunities to learn.
Yeah. Well, so let me get real quick before we finish the show. Karate. I do a lot of breaking. So I read that you're into the martial arts. Can you tell the audience what is your background in the martial arts, your total years? Before you tell, you say, I started karate back in 1985. So we're
Okay.
what, 2025? It's been over 40 years, almost 41 years. And I started doing Taekwondo. So my background obviously is third degree black belt, and I've got a world title and a state title here in Florida. What is your background?
So I started in 1991. I've trained a long time, 34 years, I guess. I started in ITF style Taekwondo, which was pretty common back in that time. Back then it was very brutal, and we were real hard contact sparring and stuff. And I did some competitions. Then over time, jiu-jitsu came about, and I adapted into that. I learned from a Sambo coach for a long time how to do some of those styles. So that's kind of my grappling background, and also got into some more traditional Tang Sudo, as well as a few other things. But I'm definitely more at home as a stand-up fighter, but I've got probably 11 to 12 years combined grappling experience as well. So I can do both.
Don't mess with Shayne Mckinney, okay? I'm just letting you all know right now. Don't mess with him. He's going to take you down to the ground. You're going to have to submit to him.
Yeah, well, I don't like to like, I talk about it occasionally, and I always tell people one of the things I dislike about bringing up martial arts is that so much toxic commenting and everything comes along with it.
No,
so many guys want to be, I'm tougher than this, I could come beat you. Like, I guess this goes back to a good lesson, though, you can learn, and that is this.
Breaking. I get a lot of people saying bad things.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can do some cool breaking and stuff too. But here's the thing. People think that somebody's going to say, oh, I could come beat you up and I could come teach you this lesson and everything else. And then I'm going to be like, oh, no, you can't. Instead, like, and you probably feel the same way. It's like, really, I hope you can. Like, come show me. Because after we've done something as long as you and I have done these things, there aren't many people that we can learn from. There aren't many people that can show us, like, you're not going to punch me in a way that I have not seen before. Like, I've been doing this a really long time. You're not going to be like, oh, wait until you see this punch and just throw something that I've never seen. And if you can, I want to see it. And that's exciting. That's an opportunity for me to get better at a thing. I don't view somebody that can beat me as a bad thing. I view it as an opportunity to learn. Wow. And that's not just in martial arts, but that's an opportunity in life. Like with this guy that is in the wheelchair and did all these houses. What can I learn from him? He's clearly doing some things better than I'm doing. Anytime I see somebody more successful, I don't think, well, I would be in that position if I started with as much money as he started with. I started completely dirt poor, but if I started with lots of money, maybe I'd be there. That's not the attitude to have. Instead, what can I learn from this guy? What does he know that I don't know? What are the lessons that I can learn? That's how you become better. When the jiu-jitsu guys started showing up in the gyms and things, and they could take us to the ground and lock, I didn't think, oh, well, that's just silly. My martial arts the right way to do it. And if they were doing it no, I was like, how do I learn from these guys? What are the things that they know how to do that I need to adapt to? How do I make myself able to handle that? Always look for learning, especially from the people that can beat you at something.
Well, I agree with you totally, because I think just like you, if there's a chance, if I take on something, like I'm fighting my best friend, I have a tournament this Saturday. I'm sparring, I'm taking him on. We're fighting. We're gonna do point fighting. It's not real, we will get hit. And then I'm already telling him, hey man, I am gonna beat you. And then he's telling me, no, you're not. I'm gonna beat you. But if I lose to him, okay, fine. I'm gonna learn. I'm going to learn. And that's the way I think. Same way like you. Let me ask you this real quick. The last question. If you had a charity to donate to, what charity, that just came out of my head. What charity would that be? Are you a big supporter of certain nonprofits? Or are you, tell me.
So organizations tend to come with an incredible amount of overhead and bureaucratic waste. And I encounter so many people that are in need as individuals already. And maybe it's just, again, my libertarian leanings. I like the least organized. I like the more individual help as possible. So I prefer to help individual people with individual specific situations that I can individually impact, and I can know about it and I can be involved in it rather than outsourcing it to someone else. Now, I don't think it's bad to have organizations. I don't think people that are giving to organizations are somehow less effective at giving than me, but I think that I'm the kind of person that would prefer to be involved with the gift and the bettering of that person's situation personally. I've been a part of some charity boards for like the Single Parent Scholarship Fund that gave single parents scholarships to help them pay for childcare while they went through college and other things. I've worked with various different charities, but I think I now much prefer individual help to individual situations.
Wow, that's the way I think. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have, again, I want to thank you first of all, the viewers, for tuning in. This video, this whole entire thing, I'm going to chop it down. I'm going to distribute it all over my entire platforms. And this full video, I'm going to try to put it on TikTok, the full video. I think TikTok allows me to do that. But it's also going to be on podcast. It's going to be all over the place. This is superstar. I have to say superstar. Social media star, Shayne Mckinney. I appreciate you coming on the show. You are a very interesting person, an inspiring story. I mean, I could say words on and on and on. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish this interview?
I guess I'd like to say this to everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm really humbled by all the following and everything else, and I am not uniquely able to accomplish the tasks that I'm doing because of some wild superpower that I was born with or an X factor. I'm able to do these things because I choose to do them, and I'm not afraid to mess up along the way. Don't be afraid to mess up. Go after the things that you want. You'll make mistakes. You absolutely will. There's nothing, you don't look at the person that's already done it and say, well, they did it because they're no, they aren't special. You can do this. Whatever your situation, whatever it is you may need, you can do this. It doesn't mean you need to do it this second, but you start making decisions right now, a little at a time, and over a long period of time, you can totally change your situation. I didn't get to having 20 houses in a week. It took years, but it happens, and it'll continue to improve for you over time as well.
Well, that's a great message. And Shayne, I'm going to continue along this journey of me doing the social media and growing my TikTok and all my other platforms. I am going to follow you even more. Like I already watch a lot of your videos, and I'm learning. And I plan on continuing the journey, and I hope that eventually I'd like to bring you back on the show in the future because there's so much we can talk about.
I'd be happy to come back, and I've got a podcast I started to put together back in February. That's how busy I am. I literally got all the stuff set up and everything. I've got it all named and how to get it started. I just haven't had the time to stop long enough to put together my podcast. But at some point when I do, I may have to have you on as a guest as well, Alex.
Oh, I would be so honored. I would be so
Thank you.
honored. And I have your number. I have your information. You're a big deal. I know. It's like, why do I say this? Because you help people. That's why you're a big deal, because you help people. You are the type of landlord that tenants out there need. Luckily for me, and by the way, I rent. I don't own a place. That's why I watch and I learn from you. My landlord is pretty cool as well. But you're you're an inspiration. You help people. It's crazy. I saw a video with the whole Section 8. That's how I came across you. And I was like, that hooked me. That's the hook. You know what they say in social media? You got to do the hook to get the viewers. That's the hook right there. And that's why you're a big deal, because you help people. Wow. You do a service for the community in your area, in your world, for the state of Arkansas. That's it. That's what it's about. And then everything else comes into place. You're a very interesting person. There's a lot of people out there, yeah, but you're the one that I interviewed today, and that's why you're on the show, and I appreciate you for coming on the show. And then, yes, I would love to be on your show. I definitely would love to.
Again, thanks, Alex, for having me. I think this has been enjoyable. Hopefully, this is something that helps your viewers and helps you to go forward and prosper as well. So thanks again, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shayne Mckinney. Real quick, let me just do the bye song, and then I'm gonna say bye to you, and we're gonna end. Okay, just hold on. Don't go anywhere. Thank you everyone for watching. This is Alexander News Show. Find Shayne Mckinney. His information is below the video, and the links, and also for social media, and also it's right here on the ticker, and you can find my information as well. It's below the screen of this video. This is Alexander Carlos, Alexander News Show for October the 2nd. It's 9:36 Eastern Standard Time, and of course Central Time. It's an hour back. Thank you everyone for tuning to the Alexander News Show.
And if I want to speak to you,
Yeah.
happy to make an appointment.
Sure, I want to ask you about ball and chain. What's wrong with your ball and chain? Why do you harass people? These are all homeless people.
This is Alexander News Show with Alexander Carlos. We go after the news. El show de Alexander News Show con Alexander Carlos.
Tell me what's up with this